you follow Islam?
Yes.
Why do you hate America?
I don't. This is my home. This is where I grew up.
Why do you bomb our people and spread hate?
Because radical Islam is anti-woman, anti-gay, and anti-American.
Where does this ideal come from?
There's a tremendous hatred there. We have to get to the bottom of it. There's an unbelievable hatred of us.
The statements you just heard are statements that have been made by political figures over the years, and the common misperception Americans have about Muslims. Islamic fundamentalists, Wahhabism, Saudi Arabia are all part of the chaos in the Middle East. America, Europe, and Russia also have a huge part to play, but today we will be focusing on the root of the fear and racial discrimination towards Muslims here in the States and worldwide. You may wonder, what is Wahhabism? I'm sure you have heard the words radical Islam.
By a radical Islamic terrorist.
Radical Islam.
Radical Islamic terrorism.
But the correct title is Wahhabism, which is a completely different ideal and interpretation of Islam than the Islam practiced by most Muslims here in America. Like other religions, the same branching out occurred in Islam, with variants in doctrine, ritual, theology, laws, fundamental beliefs, and practices. There are two sects of Islam. The first sect is Shia Muslims, who abide by Muhammad's descendant and make up the majority of the population in Iran and Iraq. Shia Muslims have a more relaxed, intolerant movement and practice democracy. The second sect is Sunni Muslims, who dominate Egypt, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia, and abide by the traditions in a more literal sense based on what the Prophet Muhammad said, did, agreed to, or condemned. This leads me to Wahhabism, which is an offshoot of the Sunni sect, and is the official sect announced by the Saudi government. I can show the connection between radical Islam and Wahhabism because they are one of the same. Wahhabism is a branch of Islam that was founded in the middle of the 18th century by a theologian who propagated holy war and the purification of Islam. His name was Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Al-Wahhab made a pact with the ruler of the first Saudi state in 1744, known as the Saudi Wahhabi Alliance. This led to a campaign of killing through Arabia, including Iraq, which is where Shia's holy city is located, and killing most of its population. Wahhabis believe in keeping the faith pure by removing the influence from other religions via extermination.
Shia kafir. Shia kafir.
But he's Muslim and he get out of Islam. He doesn't want any more. What we're going to do?
In present day, the Saudi government uses Wahhabism as a way to control its people, including suppressing human rights and Saudi's resources in the name of religious law. Wahhabis are a separate religion from the traditional peaceful Islam many Muslims believe in. Their beliefs are polar opposites. Islam believes in peace, while Wahhabism believes in chaos and killing for a cause. It's important to realize that Muslims aren't all the same, and that many American Muslims don't follow Wahhabism. This leads me to my next question. If terrorist groups are made up of Wahhabis, and Wahhabis came from Saudi Arabia, then why is the United States attacking every other country other than Saudi Arabia? Especially when the Saudi Arabian government officially recognizes a religion that is the root of most terrorism worldwide. Is it because Wahhabism is the official sect of the kingdom? Well, most likely it's because Saudi Arabia is one of our best friends. Our friendship dates back to 1932, when we signed a treaty with the California Arabian Standard Oil Company in order to gain control over the Arabian Peninsula. The benefit of being their friend is worth more than the lives of the Muslims and Americans being terrorized by the Islam extremist groups in the Middle East.
3 suicide bombers killed at least 35 Shia during an evening ceremony.
As law enforcement swarmed the scene and set up a perimeter, anguished parents took to social media looking for their loved ones.
The van that the terrorists had used moments before to mow down pedestrians stood abandoned.
America has a very green history with Saudi Arabia. Universities like Harvard, Yale, Berkeley, Duke, USC, Georgetown, and many others have received millions upon millions of dollars from Saudi Arabia to buy influence in US universities. Islam is a fairly new participant in American religion, and many people lack knowledge on this topic, which is why the Wahhabi ideological structure perceived this as an opportunity to fill a gap in order to gain dominance over the Islamic community in the West. Let's be real, sometimes money is a bribe, and other times it's a tip for good work. Money equals power. But there is power in knowledge too. A scary thought is when you can influence the young minds of collegians by educating them in an environment that is supposed to be objective. America's friendship is dangerous. It's like a double-edged sword for America. And in my opinion, Saudi Arabia got the better end of the deal. The Wahhabi-Saudi policy has always been two-faced. Wahhabis preach hostility and violence against non-Wahhabi Muslims, Christians, and they also maintain a policy of alliance with Western military powers, Britain, US, and France.
We are refueling the Saudi bombers, so we are essentially part of the bombing campaign. We're helping them choose targets, and we are refueling the Saudi bombers that are dropping the bombs. It is said that thousands of civilians have died in Yemen because of this.
So for you, this is a moral issue because you know there's a lot of jobs at stake. Certainly, if a lot of these defense contractors stop selling warplanes, other sophisticated equipment to Saudi Arabia, there's going to be a significant loss of jobs and revenue here in the United States. That's secondary from your standpoint.
I'm not informing you of this to persuade your feelings towards Muslims. I'm telling you so you aren't swayed so easily by seemingly trustworthy sources. In the end, America's foreign policy has created the violence you see and the fear you feel towards Muslims by simply making a pact with Saudi Arabia. It is an irrational fear to fear a Muslim because they follow Islam. I would love to settle your nerves, but terrorism isn't going anywhere. As long as we are protecting the country that is birthing these Muslim extremists known as Wahhabis.